Boxing King Media in association with the Riyadh season. I don't know why I was going to say Francis Warren, but Frank Smith. The reason I was going to say Francis Warren, because we were just talking off camera about this 5v5 ending up being a draw. And if they had like a decider on the night, how about Francis Warren versus Frank Smith?
I'm all right, thanks very much, mate. Francis, I reckon, can bang. I'm staying well out the way of that right hand. My vote is Jamie Ward and Dev Sani. So if it needs a decider, we're putting them two in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I quite like the idea. Well, I suggested George Warren and Eddie as well.
Yeah, I thought Eddie's too big in terms of, like, he's about 6'6" or whatever. So, but they're saying George is ripped to shreds, so maybe it would be a good tear up.
I think so too. But all jokes aside, I might even start with that question.
But also, I'm not sure if George has such an illustrious amateur career as Eddie Hills does as well. You know,
is it what, 5-0, 5 knockouts?
I think it was like 1-6, knocked out 5 times. But they were big lumps.
Is he counting your knockout as one of his on his record as well?
That's the one. But he didn't stop me. He put me down, but he didn't stop me.
You retired hurt, didn't you?
No? I retired.
No, did you retire hurt?
No, as if I'd do that. I just sort of bounced around the ropes a little bit.
Good stuff. But jokes aside, if there is a scenario this week, and I don't know, my maths ain't great, but if somebody can work it out somehow, if we ended up with the same amount of points on both sides, what happens?
There'll be something. But I don't think it's very difficult with the double points, with the captain's points, with the knockout points, etc. I'm not concerned, and we'll chuck a few team tear ups in there, can't we, at the end, and they can be the deciding vote.
Well, they've got table tennis, they've got beach volleyball at this resort. I don't know. I thought you guys might have some stuff going on during the week, but
we're playing paddle and 5-a-side football, so I think Matchroom might be 2-0 up by the end of the week.
Interesting. So, you know, out of all the fights on the card, obviously Eddie chose Wilder as his captain, which I think surprised a lot of people, because that's the fight where, in fact, Wilder's an underdog with the bookmakers. Is that like what's the reason behind that? I'm just looking deep into it now. Is there any intentions of Eddie, if Wilder wins, to try and secure him long term?
I think we're going to see the Wilder of old. I think, look, he had a tough fight against Joseph Parker. And I think he knows what he needs to do. He wants to be involved in all those discussions for those big fights. Zhilei Zhang has had a tremendous couple of years now. But I think Deontay Wilder's going to go in there and do the job. That's why he's the captain, and a big knockout bonus as well. So that's why he's there.
Wilder had a rematch clause. So how was he talked out of a rematch clause? Because normally he'd be thinking, do I fight Parker again? But instead he's going up against... still effectively one of the biggest punches in boxing.
I think it's around making fights that make sense, and this was an opportunity. I'm not too sure about the rematch clause, in all honesty. Wasn't involved in that, but it's a fight that makes a lot of sense. Joseph Parker went on to that Zhilei Zhang fight. It was around being time as well and being ready to get back in there. So, he's got his opportunity now to go in against Zhilei Zhang and set up for those big fights. I've said multiple times, I still think the Joshua Wilder fight is a huge fight. Regardless of results right now in boxing, big fights that draw interest. I still think Joshua Fury is the biggest fight out there to make. Bigger than Joshua Usyk or Fury Usyk, honestly, regardless of results. So, it's about going in there and delivering performances, and people want to see great fights between two names that have been built up over the years. So, I'm not sure about the rematch, not sure how it all came about, but it's great we get to see a great fight there.
Hypothetical scenario for you. Daniel Dubois wins by a knockout or points, whatever. Wilder wins by an explosive knockout, viral, what people used to see. He's back on the scene. Fury more than likely will take that Usyk rematch. This September date, which isn't official, but the rumours are quite strong. Could it be Joshua Wilder at Wembley?
I think it could be anything. It could be anything. There's lots of discussions, as you say, lots of rumours going around Wembley, September, etc. AJ came out here to see Usyk Fury. He'll probably be back out here to see these heavyweight fights as well. We just want to see the biggest possible fights. So let's see what happens this weekend. Every day changes in the heavyweight landscape. It's hard to read into things too much because, as we've seen when we were talking about Joshua Wilder before, if you plan too much, it doesn't end up coming true, because unfortunately the results don't go the right way, or there's injuries or delays, etc. So there's big fights to be made, and for me, that's the focus. There's going to be a big fight. AJ's going to be involved in the biggest fights possible. So yeah, that's the focus for me.
Yeah, obviously, you're a numbers guy. If you got both put on the table, I'm talking in this hypothetical scenario, would you, even as a fan, would you want to see Joshua versus Wilder, Wilder on the back of a big knockout, and obviously AJ on the back of a big knockout, or Dubois versus AJ at Wembley?
Look, the reality is it's irrelevant what I think, as in, no, but like AJ will make the decision as to what he wants to do. I've always said, been open and said, I think the Joshua Wilder fight is a huge fight. Again, regardless of the losses, etc., it doesn't matter. The best fighting the best. It's what people want to see. So if you're asking me as my personal opinion as a fan and what I think could be built into the biggest fight, it's probably a Wilder fight. It depends again what's happening with the belts, etc. What's the situation there? There's so many things that play into it that will make that decision. But at the end of the day, the decision will be made by Anthony Joshua.
You know what? I reckon if you wasn't working for Matchroom, you'd be like a local MP, and you'd be amazing at answering questions and avoiding. Like, which I don't want to drop you in it now. Which what do you call them? Which party would you be a part of?
Do you know what? This is really bad, and people will judge me for it, I'm sure. I don't really.
Tories?
No, I don't really. I don't spend enough time thinking. I'm so busy, right, that I don't really know. I think they're all pretty useless in their own right. I think they all do good things, they all do bad things. You're never going to be happy with whoever you pick. And I don't think, I kind of think the country being run by business people who, that's what a country needs. But again, probably wrong. People think I'm wrong. But and again, I'll sound like an idiot if I say I won't vote. But I just think you can't please everyone. Is the truth. Now, you can say things, and look, a lot of these people say things just to get themselves in a position to be in power, and then actually don't deliver upon it. That's my view on it. So I'm not a Tory, not Labour. I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to it. I'm not in England enough to actually see what they're doing and what they're saying.
Yeah, I was going to say you're normally out of the country, aren't you? But I've seen Tory boy written in the comments about you before, so we've clarified that rumour. He's not a Tory boy. He's nothing.
I'm hearing Labour are going to win. So, let's see.
Fascinating. I'm not going to sit and talk about all the fights. I'm going to talk about one fight that I'm really excited about, because I was just talking about the face-off, Hamza Shiraz, Ammo Williams. It's such a good fight. I know Hamza's the favourite, but on paper, that's just a straight-up 50-50 fight. It's interesting because Ammo had a better amateur career than Hamza, but in the pros, they're both roughly about the same. But I think River Wilson Bent is the comparison. Do you make much of that, the way they both dealt with River?
Look, I think, as always with boxing, you can look at this person did it, like all the heavyweights. This person did this person did this, and you can read into it. But at the end of the day, it's when it comes down to the two of them getting in the ring and their styles coming together. I think it's a massive moment for both of their careers. The winner becomes WBC mandatory as well off the back of this. Austin Williams, we've worked with since he turned pro. I think he's in the, looking at him, looking at his training camp, he's in the shape of his life. He knows what he needs to go and do. Hamza Shiraz is a brilliant fighter as well, but I truly believe Austin Williams is going to show the levels and going to do a job on Hamza Shiraz. Tough fight, but it should be a tough fight, and it's what people want to see. This is why this card's so intriguing. It's 50-50 fights with the best coming together, taking chances and opportunities. But yeah, for me, Austin Williams win. Again, compare all these results of old. You can say he looked great against Liam Williams, but was Liam Williams the same fighter he was years ago? Probably not. But I'm just looking forward to it. Austin knows what's ahead of him, and Austin knows the opportunities off the back of this if he delivers a great performance. And I think that's what you'll see on Saturday night.
It's interesting because I'm in this fight on. It's rare, like say a couple of years ago, you wouldn't see fights like this. Obviously, we're getting to see it because of his excellency. And if I just compare it to, I don't know if you follow the Netflix show that's happening. You got Floyd Schofield Jr. If you don't know much about him, fighting Ashton Silv, two young undefeated guys. You would never see them guys fighting each other. And you got obviously Shabazz Masood and Liam Davis.
Yeah, look, it's all about making. This is for too long. Fights haven't been made that should have been made. And I think everyone's a bit guilty of that, and but also the fighters have to step up to it as well and take opportunities, take chances. For too long, I think in the sport we had, I just need an easy 6-rounder, I need an easy 8-rounder, but that's not what people want to see. That's not growing the sport. It's not growing your profile. It's not getting you to where you need to be. So it's great to see these big fights happening. That, like you say, that Schofield Floyd Schofield fight against Ashton Sylvie. I've heard a lot about Ashton Sylvie, I've spoken to him many times. It's a brilliant fight, and the reality is losses don't mean what they used to, and they shouldn't mean what people, what in the past people historically thought. A loss shouldn't define your career. Look at UFC. Look at these fighters going in great fights and delivering entertainment. I think if you deliver entertainment, people don't care really if you win or lose. And I've said it numerous times. Sonny Edwards is a perfect example of that. Someone went into that fight against Jesse Rodriguez. It was a hard fight. Two of the best coming together. He got beat. He came out there with a lot more fans because he took a real fight. He gave it everything in the ring, and people want to see him back out again. So, I do think the sport's changing, the mindset's changing. That has to be driven by fighters as well. And that's a good thing to see, that these young fighters are willing to take challenges.
I definitely agree. Last thing I want to speak to you about, Frank, is probably the bit I'm going to title this video about, because we're not hearing nothing from the Eubank family, and you're the only person that's on camera that can really bump into as the Eubank family spokesperson, if you don't mind me saying that. What's going on with your, I don't know if fair to call him your brother-in-law?
Yeah, I need to pop the question, but it's 8.5 years, so I think it's fair enough. One day. I don't get really involved in his career. He's doing his own thing. He's got a team of people around him who do that for him. I think he's looking at opportunities now.
Are you guys speaking to him?
I've spoken to his team, Napa, Mera, etc., around opportunities. The big one is Conor Benn, but it's just a case of when and how. But I know he's got lots of opportunities on the table. Obviously, loads of options there that they'll be going through, and it's for him to decide what he wants to do. He's made a lot of money in his career, done very well. He's not under pressure to fight if he doesn't want to fight, but he'll want to get back in the ring. He's been, he had a great performance against Liam Smith. When was it? Back in September now. We're sort of talking about 8 months away. 8 months now since then, 8-9 months. And yeah, he's in the top names of British boxing. He's probably in the top 4 names of British boxing, and he wants to be involved in the biggest fights, I'm sure. So hopefully news soon. Unfortunately, I don't know enough, but we'll see.
One more question on that. I know you mentioned Conor there, but realistically, Conor's obviously not going to be in the mix until this situation's sorted with him. So who else can you guys offer him?
I think there's a lot of fights to be made for him.
Who?
I still think the Liam Smith trilogy could be interesting, but you're shaking your head. Austin Williams could be one. Felix Cash could be a fight for him. But at the same time, it's what when you're in the stage of the career he's in, where again, like I say, you've made a lot of money, different things drive you, and he's either going to be driven by money or winning a world title. And only he can talk about that. What that is, and I don't know what that is. Every fight is different. I think he likes earning money, so he likes the biggest fights possible. And some of the fights out there to win a world title, for example, like people have spoken about Janibek. The reality is it's not big, not really that big, because no one really knows who Janibek is. So again, it's going to be for him to decide what's driving him to keep going. He's been in the sport a long time, and doesn't need more money. Everyone needs more money, but doesn't. If he stopped tomorrow, he'd be fine. So we'll see. Hopefully you can get him on camera and he can talk for himself, because this isn't an official Eubank spokesperson. This is just my opinion of it.
He doesn't really speak to many people. But the last thing, there's obviously a bet. We don't know if this is like 100% going to happen, but I understand if Queensbury win, you've agreed to dress up as a maid and go and serve Frank Warren tea, and you're 100% going to do that. No going back.
No doubt.
Can I make
when I make a deal, I stick to it, even though we haven't got it in the contract. If in the very, very unlikely event we lose, very, 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 very unlikely event we lose, I'm going to his office and I'm going to make tea all day. I didn't add the maid's outfit bit in there. Eddie added that in there, which, look, I'm a man of my word. I'll do it. Mrs. might not talk to me for a bit. I look good. I don't know. I've got lovely legs though, so I've got lovely legs. Hoping they don't put the sugar at the bottom drawer. But I'll be there in the maid's outfit, and if we win, which we will, Andy Alien's got to come to the matchroom office and make everyone tea in a butler's outfit. Not sure it's fair that I got maid's outfit and he got butler's, but we move.
Just make sure the skirt's down to your knees. But do you mind if for this video that we'll put up a thumbnail of you maybe dressed in the maid's outfit just for banter?
You do it, mate. You do whatever you need. You know, I don't take life too seriously.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I thought I'd ask you before I just put it out there and get told off later on. But yeah, Frank, appreciate your time and looking forward to it. Should be an exciting week ahead in Saudi Arabia.
Big 5-0 to Matchroom, mate. Tune in.